It's round number 3 of the Kart Mania iRacing Pro Championship. It's all on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live as usual. It's the Zap Car Grand Prix. Coming up next, from the wicked Daytona International Speedway.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31 and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacing Live, coverage brought to you by RaceSpot TV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
Welcome to the sunny Daytona International Speedway in the USA, which hosts the ZAP Sports Car Grand Prix, the third round of the Kart Mania iRacing Pro Championship. It's all on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live as usual. This is a series that we explained last week, containing many world-class racing drivers from the Blancpain Endurance Series, NASCAR, Champ Car, and some very sturdy sim racers as well, looking to take the fight to those drivers. Going to be a good one coming up later today. 5.7 kilometers, the Daytona International Speedway. That's also 3.5 miles anti-clockwise layout for the second week running. 12 turns, 7 to the left, 5 to the right. Plenty of overtaking spots. Turn number 1, you look at a bus stop into turn number 8. Maybe turn number 6 if you get a good run in the stadium section. We'll all challenge the drivers for 45 minutes of racing here today. Those 31-degree banking corners as well, using the oval course, will be very interesting too, maintaining the slipstream, trying to get the run on the driver in front and trying to get the lead. Something that a few drivers still await here in round 3 of the season so far. Good afternoon everybody, Johnny Simon on hand in the commentary booth alongside Alvin Nieves and Hugo Luis on cameras for us. We are now in qualifying, 6 minutes through the session, 9 minutes left. And Alvin, we now found out this week, we're using the Radical SR8. We're at Daytona Beach, the road course. It's going to be an interesting race here today. Lots of long straights to 8 overtaking. Drivers are still trying to get used to the car, but this car maybe isn't as difficult as the roof was last week.
Yeah, good evening to everybody. Yeah, this is a totally different challenge to what we had on the previous round in circuit at the Americas with the C-Spec, and of course on round 1 with the MX-5 at Charlotte. A totally different car that it's a downforce car, very light, high RPMs. It's gonna, in a way, it's similar to what you will find in the service here with the Star Mazda, with the Formula Renault, in terms of how light they are, how fast they are, how they drive, and then you combine it with Daytona, a track which is really a fast track, a track that slipstream is the name of the game. So pretty much as soon as the green flag drops, you try to stay as close as possible to everybody. You try to take advantage of that draft and try to stay close. And we also got to remember that we are going to have a competition yellow in the middle of the race. So staying close will be the name of the game here today.
Yeah, definitely so. And we do have those overtaking spots, Alvin. We know turn 1's going to be very difficult just because it curves in, trail braking zone on the racetrack. And then we have turn 6, who Raul Perez-Gama now in that number 6 car he's coming up towards now. Couple of drivers in front. This is a corner where if you get a good run in the stadium section, there's a car off the track trying to rejoin in qualifying. And then here's the long back straight up towards the bus stop into turn 8. There's lots of there's very few overtaking spots, Alvin, but lots of long straights just to gain that draft, and the draft is going to be so important here today.
Well, realistically speaking, there are 2, maybe 3 overtaking spots that we have on this track. You already mentioned turn number 1, which is after you come out of the start-finish straight and from the NASCAR oval, you come into a road course. That will be perhaps the best overtaking spot because the cars will be coming top speed, especially if you're on the slipstream. You can take advantage, and it's a really wide entry, so if something happens, you can kind of get away with it. Then the other prime overtaking spot will be turn 8, the entry into the bus stop. You are coming out of NASCAR 1 and 2, you are going into the back straight, and if you can set it up, you can go into that bus stop and perhaps go for an overtake. But you also gotta be careful because if you kind of mess it up, then you are gonna set yourself for an overtake again going into turn 1. Now, there is another overtaking spot here that it's gonna usually overlooked, but it could be it's another good place, and that place is turn 6, the turn before coming into NASCAR 1 and 2. You are pretty much trying to stay in contact with everybody on the infield. But if you can also set a pass just before you get into the oval. However, as I mentioned, this is a track where slipstream is the name of the game, so it'll be better to stay behind coming out of turn 6 and perhaps set the pass coming into NASCAR turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely. As Perez-Gama, we're watching him before. He just took provisional pole here with 5 minutes and 26 seconds left in the session, so brilliant time from him. He had an abysmal first round, but last round out the strategy really helped him. So right now he probably doesn't need to rely on strategy too much if he can start on pole. We've had the same pole sitter for round 1 and round 2. It was Roberto Montero, who did win the last round 2 as well, so he does lead the championship at the moment. We'll look at the championship standings a little later on in the event, but Perez-Gama is still trying to maintain his pole position. Roberto Montero has climbed his way up into 5th, and he needs a lot more than that. He's 7/10 down on pole position right now.
Yeah, he is, and I've been kind of trying to follow some of the drivers here, and it's really interesting how you see the cars. Usually in qualifying, you try to take as much space as possible. You try to have no traffic at all to try to save your lap time. But up here in Daytona, totally different story. You try to go in a pack. You try to take advantage of that slipstream. You try to work in couples or as a team to try to get as much speed as possible coming out of those high-speed NASCAR turns and perhaps get a better lap time.
Yeah, so that's something you need to look out for, especially those runs out of the corners, as we were saying. It's just so important, just because the straights are so long at the moment. The banking helps as well, that 31-degree banking. Montero, though, on this lap, is approaching the bus stop. Needs to nail this section of the racetrack tightly. Trail brakes, throws the car into the bus stop, taking all of the yellow curbs as well. Car bouncing, oscillating as well. Now he pedals away. It's going to be a long, full throttle run, hugging the yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. You can see the track starting to rubber in a little bit as well, that bottom line. Montero, very stagnant run here. It's very uneventful as he approaches the line. Keeps shortening the distance to the line. Stays to the inside. He might as well even consider going below the yellow line if it can work. Crosses the line now, and he only improves to P3. So, decent time for him, but not as fast as Perez-Gama in P1. He's just so fast this week, Perez-Gama. And what about Jose Luis Gallardo there in P2? Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it is. And you know, usually on most of the championship, you really don't put that much attention in the qualifying, especially in Daytona, since you can take advantage of the draft and go to first place almost immediately on lap 1. However, in this championship, pole position is very important, as whoever gets the pole positions gets 2 extra points, which could mean the difference between first and second place coming into the championship.
Yeah, so I was looking at Martinez there, Donaciano Martinez, who just had an accident with someone into the first corner. They were trying to fight for a position, and with 2 minutes left in the session, it's going to be very tough for Donaciano Martinez here to make his way through. So we know that the times will count after it ticks to 0. He exits the pits now, and I think he should be comfortable to set 1 more lap time, Alvin. Now, in the Radical, is it important to get out and warm the tires for 3, 4, 5 laps in a stint to get the best qualifying lap time, or is it best to just do 1 single lap at a time and keep those tires fresh?
Well, it really, for cars like these, you can take a couple of laps and warm up, but on this track, since it's a really high-speed track, especially once you go into those bank turns, NASCAR 1 and 2, 3 and 4, you can really warm up those tires with the high G-forces that you will exert on those tires. So he can do 1 lap, but the most important thing is that as I'm following him now, he really doesn't have anybody in front of him that he can benefit from the slipstream. So
yeah,
it'll be really hard for him to kind of set a good fast lap and perhaps sneak into the front 4 places.
Yeah, and we're not disrespecting Perez Gama or Gallardo, because, you know, even I think that maybe they got a slipstream advantage. We did see that, though, following Perez Gama earlier on a few minutes ago. He had 2 cars in front, which he used as a slipstream. So maybe it's just impossible for some of these drivers to get a good lap time in. So Donaciano Martinez at a 1 minute 45.4. That's 9/10 of pole position. He'll cross the line shortly. We'll keep track of that lap while other laps start to conclude now. 44 seconds until the checkered flag comes out in qualifying. Jake Vita up there in 4th position. So he had a great first round. Last round out, though, at Circuit of the Americas was quite abysmal, to say the least. I mean, he was only scored 9 points in the end, and he could have done a lot better than he did. But here he comes. He comes to reinvigorate his season right now. What about Hector Aguirre there in P11, or Hector Aguirre, excuse me? He's all the way, he's 2nd in the championship. But remember the poor round he had at Circuit of the Americas, Alvin? He pulls into the pit lane now, and he's going to start from 11th at best. So this just isn't going to help his championship chances.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, at this track, it really won't matter where you start. Of course, there could be the possibility of something happening, a lap 1, turn 1 mayhem, and if you're in the middle of the pack, that could affect you. But with how the track works here, with the slipstream and all that, you can pretty comfortably work your way coming from midfield, and you can work yourself from first place. It's just a matter of patience and just pick and choose where you want to do the overtakes. And he should be in a, pretty much everybody here should be in a good position as long as they can stay with the leaders throughout the whole race.
Yeah, and we're just watching, well, Perez Gama anyway, I was watching corner of eyes from the commentary booth, was pushing Julio Esquivel across the line just to give him a bit of a bump draft, but it didn't help us. Julio's all the way down there in P25, so he probably needs a bump draft from a semi-trailer or something at this point in time just to push him ahead. Donaciano Martinez, excuse me, in P7 now, crossing the line. Can he improve on his time? Here he comes. 46.0, not enough. And he does improve. No, he does set a time, but he doesn't improve at all. So only P7 for Martinez. Alex de Alba in front of him, who's in the pit lane, will start. Still a few drivers coming across the line. We look down the order as well. O'Lean's down there in 15th. He hasn't completed his lap. What about the number 136 car of Francisco Viles? All the way down there in 18th. Crosses the line. Where will this bring him up to? No improvement for Viles. And it seems like everybody else is the same. Same case for most people here. That will be it for qualifying. Carlos Gomez actually still on a lap. Be surprised if this counts, actually. He might have crossed the line on the limit, Alvin, as he's ready to complete his lap.
Yeah, it does now. It's pretty much we got most of the field set in, but still got the number 26 car coming into the start finish line. So let's keep an eye on him and see what he can do, as he is pretty much coming into the into the pits. Now coming into the start finish line. His time is... seems like he doesn't improve at all. So yeah, we pretty much got the field set now.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the field ready for 45 minutes of racing coming up in a few minutes' time. We'll look at the grid now for you as we have a new pole sitter for the first time this season. It's Raul Perez-Gama, who had a brilliant round last time out at Circuit of the Americas. He had strategy to help him out. This time out, he's got pole position to support his chances. We look at who joins him on the front rows. Jose Luis Gallardo, 1 minute 44.7 for him. They're the only two drivers in the 1 minute 44 range. We look at the rest of the field as well. Montero, Vite share that second row. There's Juan Carlos Anton Garcia, Alex de Alba, 5th and 6th respectively. Donaciano Martinez and Eric Meza in 7th and 8th. And it's Andres Espinoza and Miguel Maya rounding out the top 10. Look at the rest of the grid on your screen. Aguirre Contreras there in the 6th row. Nahum Olin all the way down there in 15th, involved in a bit of controversy last round out with a car flipped over, but he was definitely apologetic about that. No harm, no foul. Viles down there in 18th. Carlos Crespo starts from 21st. Rest of the field as well. You can see a few drivers not setting a time towards the back of the field. But here we go, Alvin. Short pace lap. Pace cars just before the bus stop. The drivers will take to the grid. We'll be in for a hectic race as well. And you mentioned that that precautionary caution. Oh, sorry, that what is it? Mandatory caution, I should say. The
Competition caution.
Competition caution. I'm gonna get my terminology right on this one, but it's gonna be important come lap 20. Just because of strategy, maybe it's worth pitting in this car. Who knows?
Well, in this car and this track, given how easy, how gentle they are on the tires, there will really be no need to come into the pits and change tires. Yeah, if you are behind, all the way on the back, you can perhaps take the chance and change tires if you want. So there could be that. Now, something to note from the previous round, since you mentioned Nahum Olin and how he was involved and all that, there are 3 drivers here that are under probation because of the actions of what happened on last round. One of them is Nahum Olin, the other is Carlos Ferrari and Carlos Gomez. All 3 placed under probation for this round for reckless driving. Yeah,
so no, they're going to keep their cool here today. As we look at the championship standings, Roberto Montero, 56 points, so dominant. This time out, though, he starts a little bit down the order this race, so he's got his work cut out for him. And in P3, normally he started from pole. I say a little bit down the order. So far back, you can see the rest of the championship: Aguirre, Martinez, Olin. Before we start, Alvin, we'll be very quick. Nahum Olin, starting in the mid-pack, what would you do right now? Would you try to get it on strategy or try to get it on the track?
You can do both if you want. Just try to be patient. Just remember what happened last round. You don't want to be involved in any more incidents that you need this car quick, fast, but also downforce dependent, so you don't really want to push it that hard, you know. So you try to do both. You try to you try to see where you can overtake and where it will be best to just, you know, keep your position and not push us as we come into the green flag.
Green flag right now. Perez-Gama takes the green flag. He floors it into turn 1. Gallardo right behind. Roberto Montero trying to pounce as well into the first corner. They're going to trail brake. Look at Jake Vite from the second row now. Just braking, biding his time around the outside line, giving as much space as he can. Look at this, alongside Gallardo is Perez-Gama. Gallardo takes the lead here into the International Horseshoe. Perez-Gama still trying to chase in the early stages, still around the outside, gives him the space though when he concedes. Brilliant start there from Jose Luis Gallardo.
Yeah, it is. Now they are starting to file in single file as they go into the kink, and now they go into the International West Horseshoe as Raul Perez-Gama tried to get a look here, but no, he decides to stay single file. Everybody going single file now, going into this short straight, going into turn 6, one of the perhaps overtaking positions. Now, Johnny, this is where the fun starts. They go into the NASCAR portion. This is really fast, full throttle, do not back out, but also Slipstream City.
It is Slipstream City, but it seems that everybody's a bit too far back on the first lap, so hopefully they can catch up towards the straighter part of the back straight. Look at Perez-Gama here on Gallardo. It's going to be alongside each other once again for the second time this lap. Montero tries to make his pace. for first place as well. Right behind the two. Can he go around the outside of Perez Gama? What a move from Roberto Montero. And he claims P2 away. Just caught him unaware. That's brilliance right there. And Jake Vite also makes his way through up the inside. Just caught him sleeping there. What about Martinez? Donaciano Martinez now trying to take 2 positions.
Yeah, it is. You also have to remember, if you decide to go side by side going into the bus stop, you gotta make sure that you stick the move and you make it. Otherwise, you will come on a disadvantage. You will be slow, and that's what we saw with Roberto Montero just taking that advantage coming into second place as they complete lap 1, going now into turn 1, and we have Jake Vite trying to go side by side with Roberto Montero, but no, Roberto Montero decides to go there, and Jake Vite decides to be in some place, but that gives some advantage to Donaciano Martinez now going side by side into the International East Horseshoe here as they come in, and you know what? Let's go 3 wide here, so no problem. But now, yeah, Juan Carlos Anton Garcia just took advantage of that, going 3 wide going into that turn. As now Jake Vite kind of took advantage, so maybe something happened there to Juan Carlos. Yeah, really, they are really fighting, but as we go into the front, Jose Luis Gallardo and Roberto Montero, it seems like no, Roberto Montero just took advantage of Jose Luis Gallardo's mistake going into turn number 6, and now we are back again into the slipstream.
Yeah, Slipstream City again for round 2, lap 2 here. So still 42 minutes remaining, plenty of time. Can Gallardo reclaim the lead here from Roberto Montero? So Roberto Montero jumps into the lead this lap after getting past Gallardo. Now alongside each other once again into the back straight. Vite too far behind. Can he capitalize the same way he was pounced on, or the same way actually Perez Gama was pounced on last lap around? They all stay stagnant into the bus stop. Rest of the drivers still biding their time. I think they prefer a move into the first corner just because it's the preferable choice, just because you've got the second straight to slipstream on now. Here's Gallardo. Ducks into the slipstream around the outside. No room for Montero now to defend. Vite behind as well, getting the slipstream. What about Juan Carlos Anton Garcia too? This could be a 4-horse race into the first corner. Oh, Vite onto the brakes. He has no room into the first corner. And I think it's going to be Roberto Montero keeping the lead. It was at Garcia almost tapping the tyre barrier too. Car off the racetrack while that all goes on. I think that was Juan Carlos. No, it was a lapped car actually, excuse me. I thought it was part of the leaders.
It was Jose Luis Gallardo that lost it just a little bit, and that has just bunched up the S-Pack here from second place all the way to what seems like 9th, 10th place here, and Jose Luis Gallardo, it seems to be paying the price for that mistake, that as he is pretty much swallowed by this whole field here, and that just leave some breathing room for Roberto Montero to be in the lead. This seems to be like a really familiar position that we saw on round 2. Roberto Montero in front of the pack, pulling away.
Yeah, so this is very entertaining right here in the early stages. Still trying to find where they can slot into. Perez Gama has been a sitting duck all race, and here's Donaciano Martinez trying to make a move. But Alex de Alba might have the upper hand in this fight. And while they all battle, Gallardo, who made that mistake, excuse me, actually, it wasn't a lap car before. It was Jose Luis Gallardo into the bus stop now. And where did Perez Gama go? He just backed off about 50 meters and let them all through. Just doesn't want to get involved in the fight.
Yeah, it is now pretty much. Now they're going into NASCAR turn 4, and you know, I'm going through the field, and I notice a very familiar name here. Running in 9th place, Nelson Canache. For those that don't know him, this Nelson Canache is a 2-time Rolex 24 winner.
Yeah, he is. As we look at 3-wide battling, we'll talk about that in a little bit. As Vite right now taps the back of Jose Luis Gallardo. Doesn't force him off the racetrack. Oh, and car spun. That's Garcia. Garcia in the back has spun around into the wall as well. He's going to lose an immense amount of positions. Oh, he's going to have to be careful about the other traffic coming through. Oh, this is just heartbreaking for Garcia. We'll look at the incident soon. But that just cost him a lot. And Perez Gama also falling down the order. Maybe he was involved in the crash.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate. Really close racing. We knew that this was going to happen. Of course, we were expecting this on lap 1, but of course, as the race goes by, pressure mounts on, tempers will flare, and well, we saw our first incident of the race.
Yep, so we'll look at replays at the start while this all goes on. There are a few incidents in that on that first lap into the first corner. It just, Nelson spun there. So Kanasha, we're just speaking about him in the number 45 car. He spun around. He's going to try and regain the car there too. And now he's still off the track anyway. But we'll look at the replays at the start and talk about that a little later on. But that start, Alvin, a few incidents in the back. Good battling up the front. All clean between the front runners. But it just gets so congested and it bottlenecks down the order in that mid-pack.
Yeah, it does. You really, that start, everybody's really packed in. You try your best to try to give some room as much as possible. And we also saw that there were two cars starting from pit lane. No, only one car that started from pit lane. So perhaps that was a smart choice going at the start of the race, as long as you can keep close as much as possible to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, so Kanashe was speaking about, as he's currently in a battle here with Guillermo Jimenez Labora. And Kanashe, two-time Rolex 24 winner. It's good to have these kinds of drivers out here in the field, proving their worth in the virtual environment. And he's right behind Carlos Crespo. See if he can make a move into the international horseshoe here at turn 3. We've seen 3 wide racing here today. Has a look up the inside, but Crespo closes the door. And he'll claim, or he'll not claim, but he'll reclaim anyway, 14th position. To say it's mine. Doesn't want Nelson to climb up any more positions. Car off the racetrack in front. Who is that? That is Juan Herrero. So Herrero suffered from a lot of damage this lap, Alvin. And I think he may have had a spin at turn 3. We're hearing word at the International Horseshoe, and that's completely damaged that Radical SR8.
Yeah, he does. He seemed to have a little incident there with Ramon Vera going into the East Horseshoe. Yeah, it's really one of those incidents that once it happens, it's kind of like, but we knew that it was going to be close racing here. Yeah, he just flipped the car, and yeah, 10 out of 10 for landing on 4 wheels, but unfortunately the car really damaged now.
Yeah, battle here for P3. Alex de Alba having a look at Gallardo, who's been everywhere this race, Jose Luis Gallardo. Now he's just trying to bide his time. 3 wide battle almost coming up. Here we go. De Alba's going to stick to the outside line. Ducks back into the slipstream. Now it's 3 wide across the start-finish line. Who's going to win in this fight right now? Oh, bit of a touch between Vite and Gallardo. De Alba just biding his time, waiting for the right time to pounce. But he's going to remain in P4. Vite up there into P2. Gallardo splits them. He's in the middle of the sandwich. Here's De Alba around the outside into the International Horseshoe. Trying to get the run out of the corner. No grip on that outside line. And they're all going to remain in formation across the, well, you could call it the infield section of the racetrack.
Yeah, now they are pretty much trying to go single file. However, they decide to fight and keep fighting. And Roberto Montero, he just keeps pulling away. And that will just work to his advantage, as at the end of this race also, whoever leads the most lap, they will get 2 extra points. So this battling here for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, it's just working to Roberto Montero's advantage and in his plan of extending his points lead.
Yeah, so back again to this battle. Gallardo still alongside each other. It's going to be a carbon copy of what it was into turn 1. 3 wide with De Alba on the outside, Vito on the inside. Oh, look at De Alba. What a run. Can he maintain it under braking? He's going to have to charge into the bus stop. 3 wide's not going to work. And they start to form up now. De Alba concedes. And he had a chance there to get into P2, but he just thought the better of it, Alvin. There's 34 minutes left in this race, and he might have to do it 1 driver at a time now, as he's got a good run on Vite.
Yeah, he does. You really have to think, especially if you're on the outside, and 3 wide into the bus stop kind of like doesn't work. If this was NASCAR and there was no bus stop, then yeah, that move would have been fantastic. But up in here, this is the road course, and you have that bus stop, and you really have to think. It's 2 wide, and you really have to make it work. 3 wide is pretty much close to impossible to make it work here.
We look at a few movers throughout your field as well. Nahum Alin, who just moved himself into P7, started from 15, so he's having a great race so far. Carlos Crespo, looking at before, started 21st, up into 12th. What about Jimenez Labora there, who's now into the 12th position as well. Oh, big battle here going on right now for P3. Here's Hector Aguirre. There's a look at that. Oh my goodness, so Vite down the order. We just saw a huge fight on your screens. And now that allows a few drivers through. Oh, Vite struggling there at turn 5. Now going into 6. So in the meantime, while all that's happened, what a save as well from the drivers in front. Martinez into P4, having a look. He could have the slipstream on Aguirre here. Drivers are just scrambling themselves, Alvin.
Yeah, they do, and it really does. It's really important to get that exit coming out of turn 6 really good, because this pretty much throws you into this long part of the NASCAR section. I wouldn't mention it as a straight because, well, we can see that it's an oval, but it's not a straight. But you can pretty much go full throttle, and you don't need to worry about spinning here. This battle here, we got a slow car on the banking now coming into NASCAR number 3. But yeah, this is if you are in P3 and P4, this is what you want right now. Try to stay single file. Try to catch up to Jose Luis Gallardo and make that fight for second position, even though there's going to be a competition caution later on and the whole field is going to bunch up, so Roberto Montero is not going to have that. We see that now. Yeah, Hector Aguirre going for that P number 2 going into turn 1. Is he going to make it? No, yes, no, yes. Some contact here, but Jose Luis Gallardo is able to take that position, and he's going, thank you very much, I'll take my position again. So yeah, now going into this infield section again, they try to, if they can pick a mistake, of course they will pounce on it, as we saw on the last lap, which is what pretty much bunch up this whole field here. If you see a mistake from somebody in front of you, you just try to pounce on it, but otherwise you try to stay behind your opponents. Yeah, so yeah, everybody's really lucky, and also they are getting aggressive and impatient at the same time.
Yeah, and look at this fight here. Aguirre is struggling. Martinez trying to pounce around the outside. Vite is very unstable. D'Alba now has joined the fight. He's up the inside. Oh, is that a car spun around? That's Gallardo. He's having an abysmal race, and it just goes from bad to worse. He's all the way down into 8th. He spins onto the grass, and that just puts his race into worse circumstances right now as the battle for P2 still heats up. Aguirre has that spot. And look at D'Alba again around the outside. It hasn't worked for him 3 times now. Will it work the 4th time? Into the bus stop, so close behind, almost a tap. Oh, Martinez trying to stick it around the outside. Brilliant stuff here right now. And they're still alongside each other on to the main straight. Vite behind as well, trying to pounce. There's no room. He has to back off the throttle for a little bit. You can hear him as well. D'Alba drops back. D'Alba now goes to the inside line, trying to make that work. He knows the outside hasn't worked well for him. And is that a car going into the pits? That's Hector Aguirre. So maybe Hector Aguirre's got a penalty or something of some sort. He's going into the pits. So does Nahum Olin, pitting early for these guys. And that battle for P2 still shakes up while that all happens. Vite around the outside now forms up. D'Alba, oh, so close between the two, almost a tap. But now they form up into the International Horseshoe. We saw something incredible here 2 laps to go. Tap between the two, it shakes. Martinez around, good bump and run. And now D'Alba goes through, brilliant stuff there. Martinez behind, and we saw some pit stops as well.
Yeah, we got to see some pit stops. It could be 1 or 2. I don't think they got damage into the car, as yeah, they may have had some contact here and there, but they have been able to keep up with each other. But something that perhaps it could have been possible, we got to remember that they did qualifying just before this race, and there is a real possibility that once that qualifying was done, they may have just forgotten to put the race fuel in it. So if that is the case, then well, that is a silly mistake to make.
Yeah, embarrassing mistake, and not something you want to be making, especially at this stage of the championship. You don't want to be losing early points in the season. Well, after this race completes, actually, we'll have completed 50% of the distance in the championship, only 6 rounds. We don't know where we'll be next week, just because it's always randomized. We don't know the car we're going to use next week either. That's going to be very surprising for some of these drivers who only find out 24 hours before the event, and it just makes things so much more interesting, as well as this battle for P2, which is starting to get more interesting here. Alex D'Alba now, he's going to the pit lane too, so D'Alba now tucks into the pit lane. And Martinez also pits 2 behind. So Donaciano Martinez, Perez Gama pits as well, a pole sitter. While that happens here, Gallardo and... is that Morales as well? So Victor Morales is having an amazing event. He's there into P3 now. This fight's become the battle for the final podium positions just because everybody's starting to reel into the pit lane. Oh, there was a car missing their pit box. I think that... I'm not sure who that was. It might have been D'Alba. So while this battle heats up for P2 and P3, drama in the pit lane for those guys. But Gallardo should have the position now of the run out of the corner.
Yeah, they do it. It kind of seems to me from what I'm looking at that there is a real possibility that the drivers just totally forgot to put in the fuel after the qualifying was done, because as I was doing my calculations with the fuel tank that this car has, they should have enough fuel to make it on one stint. So everybody that we are seeing right now coming into the pits, it's just because they just forgot to put that fuel in.
Yeah, so we saw Morales there on camera just taking to the grass, trying to make this a dirt event. But we're about 2 minutes away from that competition caution, and you would have thought, Alvin, that the drivers would at least wait until the competition caution to make their pit stop. So anybody else who's got a little bit of extra fuel on board may get a bit lucky at this stage of the event.
Yeah, it's also, but you also have to remember that since the qualifying was 50 minutes, most likely they kind of did their fuel for 50 minutes. So anybody that put any fuel less than what they needed for the competition caution, well, yeah, they will have to come into green flag conditions. As we now have the battle for P number, I got here 11 and 12. Yeah. P number 11 and 12 as Hector Aguirre and Guillermo Jimenez. They are just battling, coming out of the bus stop, coming into NASCAR turn 3 and 4. No, sorry.
Oh, Espinosa spun, excuse me, from P2. Sorry, Alvin. Andres Espinosa there in P2 spun at the exit of turn 1. And he's just completely lost it on its own. And he almost took out a car as well. One of the cars there was Guillermo Morales. So as the leaders all pit now, Espinosa, Morales almost got taken out. It's just bizarre situation there, but Espinosa still remains in P2 as the rest of the leaders pit. Roberto Montero, now we haven't spoken about him, Alvin, as we approach 1 minute to go before that caution. He's just so quick this race, and because he's broken away from the pack, he's been involved in less battles, and it's just supported his case for P1.
Yeah, he does, but he also had to come into the pits as well. So it kind of looks like everybody just totally forgot to put in fuel. So at least it's kind of overall makes the whole race interesting as everybody has to come into the pits. So in a way, it's kind of like advantage neutralized. But as a result of everybody coming into the pits, guess who's leading? Jose Luis Gallardo.
Yeah, the one guy you would have thought wouldn't be leading. He's been everywhere this race. He's been at the front, the back. He's been involved in battles, spins. I don't know how he's still there in the lead as the battle for P5 starts to heat up. It's Olin and Vite. Both have entered the pit lane. Now, I'm not trying to... Oh, as the caution comes out now, so yellow flag comes out, and that will form up the field a little bit. This helps Gallardo, but he may... I don't think he can enter the pit lane now. No, he can't. So he'll have to continue. Gallardo, Espinosa, Montero, Martinez, Olin are your top 5. Vite was about to pass Nahum Olin until the yellow flag came out. So that's come at just the wrong time. Now, I'm not trying to make things a little bit more interesting, but Olin threw out the yellow flag because he is the course steward, you could say, in a way. And it was just when Vite was about to pass him. So that was perfectly timed for Nahum Olin.
Yeah, well, let the competitive furious begin right now, you know, but we all knew that there was going to be a competition caution with 25 minutes to go, and that is what happened right here. Now, from the front runners, it looks like Jose Luis Gallardo and Andres Espinosa, they didn't have to come into the pits at all, but to me it kind of seems like they did not forget to put the fuel in the car, so they should... assuming they did put the fuel, they should be good to go. But third place, Roberto Montero, perhaps with the fastest driver in the field right now. So look for him as soon as the as the green flag drops to make his moves back into the front again.
Yeah, so that caution came out at a brilliant time there. So 20 minutes into the race is when it normally will come out. And that just helped Olin stay in front because Vita had a good run on him, and that was going to be very close. So Olin will stay in P5, down near the front of the field anyway. Now, we're going to see cars waved around. So anybody who's a lap down will be waved onto the lead lap 2. Pit stops will be made. So Gallardo holds the lead. And whether or not he pits is a question in itself, Alvin. That's something to look out for. Espinosa there in P2 who had that spin. Montero should pretty much lead this race. And if he doesn't, after the restart, he should have the pace to get himself up in the lead. Martinez there in 4th, who is 3rd in the championship, needs these good points. But it seems at the moment the best jumpers through your field, Guillermo Labora down there, or Guillermo Yemes Labora, excuse me, starting from 20th now into P9. But Nahum Olin from 15th to 5th is having a good race. And don't forget, he's also made his pit stop. So at this point in time, basically based on pit stops, Nahum Olin is in P3 and he started in 15th.
Yeah, he does now. Pretty much now, as we see all the lap cars going on the high side of the oval, getting their lap back. Yeah, he did his pit stop. Most of the runners from P3 down, they pretty much did their pit stops. But like I just mentioned, there is that possibility that they just forgot to put that fuel in from the qualifying session into the race session. So there's also that possibility, as we have Jose Luis Gallardo. Well, everybody's coming into the pits right now, as some people just like to nope, we're coming as Roberto Montero going into the lead, but Jose Luis Gallardo coming into the pits, being accompanied by Andres Espinosa as well. But it kind of seems to me like they are coming in to change tires.
Yeah, they are. So they will actually lose out from not making a green flag pit stop. So it's worked out the opposite for these guys who are all coming into the pit lane now. They'll rejoin the back of the order. They will have fresher rubber, and that did make the difference for Perez Gama last round. Alvin, who just was all the way down there outside of the top 10 and ended up climbing his way up into the podium positions towards the end of the race. And it was in that late fight there with Olin and a couple other drivers as well, Gallardo too. So this round around anyway, seems that some of these drivers may be at a disadvantage now with the pit stop, but it may prove beneficial later on in the event.
Yeah, it does. But really, Donaciano Martinez and Jose Luis Gallardo and Andres Espinosa kind of seemed like they just came out as the biggest losers out of this cycle of pit stops. They just had to do it under the yellow flag, so everybody just pretty much overtook them. So now they are on the back of the field. But yeah, like you just mentioned, they are on fresh rubber now. They should be able to overtake easier around this track, even though the tire degradation here is not as high as we saw on Circuit of the Americas on the previous round, where definitely changing tires you would have benefited from that. Up in here, not so much, but hey, who never knows? As long as there is slipstream, anything can happen.
Yeah, so that's going to come into play. We approach 20 minutes to go in the event. But look at your field right now after all the pit stops took place. So Montero currently leads. For some reason, it's showing Olin as the leader on the timing screens. Actually, I think that might be wrong. So it was just across the line last time around. But relatively, Montero leads. Martinez is in second. Olin in third. Down the order, it's Vite fourth. Perez Gama fifth. Hector Aguirre in sixth. De Alba, Morales, Duran Contreras, and Juan Carlos Anton Garcia rounding out the top 10. And a very interesting top 10 for you. I mean, Montero, who has taken, well, he took the first 2 pole positions of the season, not this round, but he's got the pace to win his second race, like he did last time out at the Circuit of the Americas and the Lone Star Le Mans race. Martinez, who's incredibly strong, he's finished second twice in the first 2 races of the season. He definitely does not want to finish second again for the 3rd time. And no offense, Hugo's going to hate me for saying this, but it's sort of like Barrichello. He's always second to Schumacher. I didn't mean that in a bad way. I'm joking. Olin, anyway, who's been on the podium once, finished in 4th last round, so he's got a chance to also jump his way up to possibly a first win. We've got Vite, Perez Gama 2, Aguirre. This is just such an interesting top 10. And remember the restart, it was so crucial last time out. The restart into turn 1 and into the international horseshoe is just going to be where it's all going to count, and we'll wait to see if the pace car lights come out.
Yeah, it does, as still the lights on the pace car are still on, but definitely the restart here is going to be really important. We're going to have the cars bunched up again, and yeah, the lights of the pace car are off, so at the end of this lap we should be going back into green flag racing. But yeah, now patience. Everybody pretty much did their pit stops. Everybody should be good to go in terms of fuel. So now, after the pace car comes into the pit lane, it'll be a race to the finish now.
Yeah, so who's going to get those 50 points for a win? Well, technically it's actually 52 because you are going to lead a lap on the way there. So you get 2 bonus points for leading a lap. So if you do win the race, it's basically 52 points. And you also get 2 points for the most laps led in the event, which right now is Roberto Montero. So he could be looking at a good haul of bonus points. Then, pole position as well. That will go to Perez Gama, who has the bonus points for that already to count to his name. The rookie championship as well. Roche leads ahead of Carlo Ferrari. And those guys are nowhere to be seen here in the top 10 right now. So that battle's still heating up in the rookie championship. But we're going to go 2 wide here for the restart, double file. And last thing I want to say is Olin is starting in that 2nd row. So is Jake Vite. What do they do into turn 1, Alvin? Do they wait and then pounce into the international horseshoe, or should they just be ready to get in front of Martinez or Montero into the first corner just as straight away as they can?
Well, now this is pretty much like playing chess. You try to go for it at the start, you try to wait for it. This is really a waiting game. Now, if you're thinking championship, pretty much Roberto Montero already has those 2 extra points for most laps led. This caution period is definitely helping him into securing those points. So really no point into thinking of trying to lead the most laps. So you're just now trying to make the best out of the situation that you can. And of course, if you can go for it and be on the lead, then you go for it. But we also got to remember, slipstream. Very important. Patience. You really have to time your moves, especially on that last lap. I can assure you, after that bus stop, everybody will be going whatever they can, even below that yellow line if needed.
Yep, they definitely will. Nahuma Lin there in 3rd, Mexican Touring Car Championship race winner, and trying to prove his worth in the virtual environment here today. They're still trying to form up and get ready. So they wait, they try to bide their time and still wait as well, trying to see who's going to pounce early on in the event. They're actually going single file this time around, so compared to last round, it's changed at the Circuit of the Americas, so rules changing there. As there's 1 car going through. Is that a lap car coming through? 1 car is very, very damaged. And it may interrupt this start. It's Carlos Gomez there in 24th. He's going to have to get out of the way before the leaders will try to restart this race. And look at the smoke kicking up too. So that's making things very interesting. But as we approach the final restart of the event, it's Montero, Martinez, Olin, Vite, Perez Gama. We wait for the pace car to pull in. Montero's going to floor it anytime now, and he does. Green flag to restart racing with 15 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and right there on the midfield, it was trying to get a little bit of bunch up, perhaps some miscommunication there, but up in the front, all clean. Roberto Montero coming in clean, as Donaciano Martinez just had a small mistake going into that turn number 2 as they come into the International East Horseshoe here. Now Molly really close to Donaciano Martinez, trying to see if he can make a move going into the kink. If I was him, I will stay right behind him and see if I can get a move on the International West Horseshoe. And just right behind him, Raúl Pérez Gama just goes into 4th place ahead of Jake Vite and Hector Aguirre, as Hector Aguirre and Jake Vite still side by side going into turn 6. Let's see who's got the advantage going into the NASCAR portion of this track. It looks like Jake Vite is going to be ahead, but Hector Aguirre just goes up and now decides to tuck behind him and take advantage of the slipstream.
He does. Aguirre now has another look. So alongside each other, the top 4 are all into formation. Maybe Olin's got to run at Martinez into the bus stop too, but Hector Aguirre and Jake Vite battling here. Olin's too far back in front. Does Aguirre have a chance? No, he backs off, so he just doesn't want to take the fight. He wants the run out of the bus stop. Good choice for him, but is he going to get the run out of the bus stop? I think he does. Now he's going to tuck into the draft. Just try to use that across the main straight. Look at Vite trying to break the draft, changing his line back onto the racing line, using the rubbered part of the racetrack. Aguirre has got a chance here to get himself into the top 5. Something he needs for the championship. Now holding the inside line. Oh, he takes to the apron. Brilliant stuff from Aguirre. Is that going to be allowed, though? That's something to be looked at. Now he goes to the apron. Still there. Vite gives him as much space as he needs. And Aguirre into the top 5. Caught unaware there was Jake Vite.
Yeah, usually if you are racing in NASCAR, that line is out of bounds, but on the road course, totally allowed. You can go below that yellow line and try to go for the overtake. That is pretty much as legal as anything here on the racetrack. And I can assure you, coming on that final lap into the start finish line, that place below the yellow line will be used.
Yeah, so that's interesting stuff there. Very brilliant move there by Aguirre. Oh, as he run off the racetrack, he's run very wide there at turn 5, but he's going to maintain the 5th position. Now, crucially, they don't want to lose the slipstream to the top 4, and that was what Montero did in that first stint. Remember, Alvin? And he broke away by about 8 seconds come pace car time. This time around, Montero hasn't done that. He's trying to break the toe, but this could be a very, very detrimental final stint for Roberto Montero, who has been the fastest guy all day, but he may not win this event as Martinez has a great run here on towards the bus stop. He's going to be a little bit too far back, though, as Montero defends the inside line, and I think he's on the back foot here on the main straight.
Yeah, he does. That first half of the race, you knew that there was going to be a competition yellow anyway, so really no point if you were on second place to trying to push and go for that first place, as you know that the whole field was gonna bunch up. Second half, totally different story. You want to keep in touch here, as Nahum Olin also trying to keep touch here and try to make it 3 wide going into the start finish line, with Donaciano Martinez now going into the lead of this race.
Oh, and Olin was trying to make it 3 wide, but he thought better of it. As now, here we go, side by side, battling for the lead. Martinez claims the lead away from Montero with 10 minutes remaining. And oh, that's absolute heartbreak for him, but he's going to keep his cool. He's going to reclaim that lead sometime soon, as now they form up. And Olin does not want another podium to his name. He wants to fight for that win, and he's surely trying to show it right now, trying to be aggressive, but he's dropped a little bit back into turn 4. Sweep through left-hander. Don't run too wide on the exit. Now into turn 5. Perez Gama having a look at Olin. Olin has to take to the outside line to give him as much space as possible. And there's two side-by-side battles here. Martinez Montero form up, but Olin and Perez Gama continue away. Now it's going to be a slipstream city once again, Alvin.
Yeah, he does that. Now Molin at a pretty familiar procedure. Now going side-by-side with Raul Perez Gama, now going side by side there, going into NASCAR turn number 2, slotting right behind him. Let's see if he decides to make a move into the bus stop, but no, he decides to keep it behind him and perhaps get a better run coming out of the bus stop. As for the lead, we got Roberto Montero back in the lead again, but this group of 4 seems like they don't wanna be away from each other. It's like, hey guys, I love you. Let's keep this together.
Well, they do need to break away from D'Alba in 5th, and that gap is 3.2 seconds now. So they're doing a good job of that, but here's side-by-side battling again for the lead. 2 laps running now as Martinez around the outside. Oh, bravery from Perez Gama. 3 wide battle for the lead here with 9 minutes remaining. Olin's dropped down to 4th. Into the first corner. Who's it going to be come the exit? Perez Gama's in 2nd. Martinez has the lead. Montero now in P2. So Perez Gama drops down to 3rd. Olin just biding his time, waiting for the right time to pounce. Still alongside each other for P2. as Perez Gama now may have the position. He's got to rub it in line on the exit to floor the throttle and get the speed all the way on the run down to turn 4. So Martinez claims the lead, then there's Perez Gama, Montero, Olin behind. They form up once again. Now I don't want to cause any troubles here, but Julio Escobar there in P23, lapped car. If he doesn't get out of the way, this could be a very interesting battle.
Well, actually, if Donaciano is smart, he can use him to his advantage as he almost whoa. Yeah, Julio Esquivel just decided to get out of the way, and he almost got tagged there by Raúl Pérez Gama, but fortunately nothing happens as he just slots behind. Roberto Montero decides to have a look on the outside here, going into the back straight, and second place perhaps going too wide, and he decides, you know what, now I want to take the lead here, as they go hard braking here, going into the bus stop, and Donaciano Martinez had to settle for second place at the moment, but
car spun in front. Sorry, that was very close. Sorry to cut you off there. That was almost going to... It was like the car was about to spin in front of the leaders. That could have ended the race and ended broken the hearts of all 4 leaders here at the moment. Perez Gama now on the apron, trying to break the slipstream. Martinez and Montero now battling for P2. Olin just cannot make his way up into the top 3. He's always trying to find room, but he keeps getting boxed in. Now he's got a chance, as he's got the double slipstream of Perez Gama and Martinez. Is Montero going to suffer? And Montero does. He's now outside of the top 3. For the first time I've really seen this race in terms of relative gaps, and Montero is struggling at the moment in terms of on-track battles, but if he can break away, we know he's got the pace. Lap car in front, that is Contreras. Is he going to get out of the way? He's very stagnant, very hesitant. Look who... D'Alba is still 2.8 seconds, so D'Alba is starting to creep in a little bit, Alvin, and with 7 minutes remaining, I wouldn't count him out of the race.
yeah, he does, but right now, the mover of the race here, Nahum Ali, he just started all the way from P15, and he is here battling for a top 3 position, perhaps even the win of this race. But now he decides after coming out of turn number 6, slots back in 4th position, just behind Roberto Montero, as Raúl Pérez Gama is kind of taking like a really interesting strategy, given how much downforce these cars produce. He can kind of if you want, you can kind of have the luxury of using the apron here. Of course, those right tires should be on fire right now because of that.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. You don't want to wear out the tires with 6 minutes remaining because you need to run out of the corners. And now the top 4 started to split away from each other. As Perez Gama now, look at that, he takes straight back to the banking, Alvin. As you said, that's not going to help the tires at all.
Well, I was just listening to the conversations here, and he just got a call from race control saying, hey, you're not supposed to do that, buddy, so you better get back in.
Oh, look at this battle for the lead. Martinez now around the outside. Perez Gama still holding the inside line into the first corner. Martinez off onto the marbles, and that allows Montero to run here. They're going to go alongside each other into 2. Now into the International Horseshoe with 5 minutes remaining. Starting to form up. Olin trying to find his way into the top 3, which he still can't do. Still behind the guys. Now into turn 4. Are they going to be alongside each other again? Martinez and Montero. They don't want Perez Gama to break away. Starting to back off. And look at the bravery from Nahum Olin. Trying to fight into P3. Very close to Montero, who has a small little wiggle. Keeps the car in a straight line. And he's still alongside Olin. Now into turn 6. Crucial corner. Need the exit out of here. Olin takes a wide line. They're going to form up once again. Now, as good of a race as Nahum Olin is having, Alvin, when it comes to the top 4, he just cannot make his way up into the top order.
Yeah, he does, but there is also that possibility that he knows that how hard these top 3 are battling. Perhaps he's gambling on the major possibility, as there's a really... They're going side by side for the lead, as Donaciano Martinez decides to go side by side into the bus stop, and they still side by side, but it also opens the door for Roberto Montero to get from P3, perhaps get a move right here on the outside, and he decides to really go for it. And Nahum Ali now goes in, so this is kind of like watching a NASCAR race right now. Tandem drafting here.
It is. What a cracking race so far. This is some of the best racing I've ever seen, as 3 wide racing once again for the lead. Olin doesn't know where to go. Inside, outside line. He's going to choose the inside. Logical option. As they still remain 3 wide into the first corner. Now they start to break. Martinez holds the line. Perez Gama around the outside. Olin finally into the top 3. But Montero has the cutback. And now he tries to fight his way through. Montero takes to the gravel. Slows him down quite a little bit. Still alongside each other, the top 2. Will Martinez claim the lead out of turn 3, the international horseshoe? He does. Perez Gama forms up into 3rd. Still alongside each other are Olin and Montero. Into 4. Montero behind, now forms up. They're going to keep staying stagnant. Alex D'Alba now. Now, be ready for this, Alvin. 1.3 seconds behind. Oh, spinner! That's Nahum Olin. Oh, drama. Olin had such a good event so far, and now he spun. And I think his chances for the lead are all but over. And we'll look at the replay of that.
Right in front. Sorry to interrupt you, but just Raúl Perez Gama and Donaciano Martinez coming into NASCAR 1. They just tangled and just crashed, so really unfortunate. And guess who? Alex D'Alba now in the lead of this race.
Oh my goodness, we look at the replay of that. Perez Gama lost the car. Oh my goodness. And Martinez just had nowhere to go. And they both go into the wall. And believe it or not, guess who's leading the race? It's Alex D'Alba right now in P1. Incredible stuff. Behind him, it's Juan Carlos Anton Garcia. Roberto Montero is in 3rd, who's the only survivor from that top 4 battle right now with 2 minutes remaining. Battle for the lead has changed. It's between D'Alba and Juan Carlos Anton Garcia. Number 90 versus number 14 alongside each other. Montero trying to add his case for the fight here. Trying to make it 3 wide. He's going to split them both through the middle. Roberto Montero so close between the 2, and he claims the lead. What a move. Splits them up the middle, up the inside. Under braking. 2 minutes to go. That's a champion's move.
Yeah, this gonna does remind me if you have 2 cats in a box and then all of a sudden a third cat comes in, sees a space and said if it fits, it sits. And it's just like this. Third cat just came in right from the middle, decided I'm gonna take my place here, and Roberto Montero, a familiar face here in the front of the field.
Oh my goodness. So this race still continuing on. And this will be the penultimate lap of the event. So after this, they'll cross the line. They'll begin what should be the final lap of the event. We'll confirm that anyway. As D'Alba now trying to fight for the lead. He knows he has a chance here. Alex D'Alba, who finished 8th in round 1, 9th in round 2. He's got a chance for a podium. He spins. Oh, he keeps it together. So D'Alba's dropped down. No, not for Alex D'Alba, who had a chance to claim a win. Has now dropped back 2.8 seconds. So I think his chances for the win have just taken a turn for the worst.
Yeah, really unfortunate on these last laps. Everything is unraveling here. It kind of seems like trying to battle for the lead. It's kind of like some sort of curse here, as we only had now 2 cars remaining in this battle for the lead. Raúl Montero and Juan Carlos Anton Garcia trying to go for it. So let's see if Juan Carlos can close the gap as they now are coming into this front straight into the final lap. So let's see if he can close the gap here and kind of be a little bit, have some smart strategy here and see if he can overtake us. The final lap just starts here, and Juan Carlos just decides to go into turn 1, decides to stay right behind him. But this is the real battle we have to look for. Roberto Montero has been pretty much leading this whole race. He has been the car to beat, but Juan Carlos Anton Garcia, just by pure luck, which is pretty much what seems in this race, is right here battling for the win.
He is indeed. And then there were 2 as Montero and Garcia fight for the lead. Final lap of the race. Can Montero keep himself in front? He's driven so well so far in the championship. Who would have guessed that any of these drivers in the top 3 right now would have finished in their respective positions? Maybe you could have said Montero would finish first, but after that top 4 battle, you didn't know who was going to survive out of that one. So Montero first, Garcia second, Alex D'Alba third, Vite ends up in 4th. No, Olin after his spin actually is in 5th, so still a top 5 result for him if he can keep it together. Gallardo there in 6th, and it's Perez Gama, Aguirre, Herrero, and Ramon Vera to round out the top 10. Still looking at the battle for the lead. Does Juan Carlos Anton Garcia have a chance here? Into the bus stop, he throws the car into the corner. Oh, but he gets a poor exit, and has that cost him a chance? at getting the slipstream across the main straight. I think he's got quite a look here. It's going to be from very far behind, but if Montero can stay in front, he will claim the lead. Look at this though, across the line. Garcia keeps getting closer and closer. 3/10 the gap, 2/10 the gap across the line. Montero needs this win for the championship. Here they go, side by side across the line. It's Montero. What a finish, but Roberto Montero claims the win.
Yeah, really close. Even though he got a bad exit out of the Juan Carlos Anton Garcia, he got a bad exit. He was able to almost get that win, but you know, almost doesn't get you the win, and Roberto Montero wins again here today.
Brilliant win for Roberto Montero, who wins round 3 of the Go-Kart Mania iRacing Pro Championship. Look at the battle here between Vera and Donaciano Martinez. This is for the top 10 position across the line. It's going to be Vera. So Martinez now doesn't even finish in the top 10 after that crash earlier. Perez Gama actually is just up there in 7th, so he ended up getting a little bit more benefited out of it. But anyway, we'll look at the top 10 results in the end soon. What a race so far. Just a cracking event. And I just didn't know what to expect come those last 10 minutes. But Roberto Montero wins round 3 of the Go-Kart Mania iRacing Pro Championship. The ZAMP Sports Car Grand Prix round 3 it was, in the Radical SR8 at Daytona International Speedway. Brilliant stuff from Roberto Montero. But before we look at the results, Alvin, you just have to feel for a few of these drivers here today. You look at Olin in 5th, Perez Gama 7th, Donaciano Martinez 11th. Don't forget Alex de Alba, who had a chance to also win that race. But Garcia across the line, the gap, 0.048 of a second.
Yeah, a really close finish that we saw back there. And it was also, you were mentioning some of the drivers here that had they were in front trying to run for it. And I also gotta mention that Donaciano Martinez, he had a really unfortunate thing coming into the start finish line. As I'm reading through here, it seems like he ran out of gas going into a start finish straight.
Oh wow, so that's not benefited his chances for a top 10 position, and especially since Alvin, before we look at the results, he needs that for the championship right now. 3rd in the championship, that win could have really benefited him. But anyway, we'll look at the results for round 3 of the Go-Kart Mania iRacing Pro Championship. The ZAMP Sports Car Grand Prix all but concluded from Daytona International Speedway. Roberto Montero wins his 2nd race of the season. The championship leader extends that championship lead by 0.048 of a second across the line from Juan Carlos Anton Garcia. What race from Juan Carlos Anton, who entered this championship, into this round, I should say. And the championship extends his advantage there with a few extra points. Vite de Alba 3rd and 4th. Olin in 5th. Had a chance there to win the race too, along with Alex de Alba. Those two didn't get it done. Gallardo was involved in everything this event and still ended up in 6th, so a good result for him. Perez Gama with that late spin cost himself a chance at the win. Ends up coming home in 7th. Hector Aguirre there in the 8th position, our winner from round 1. Juan Herrero. Ramon Vera, 2 guys you wouldn't expect to be in the top 10. Brilliant results from those 2 guys. Martinez there in 11th. Viles Morales all the way down there in 12th, 13th. Espinoza, the last guy on the lead lap. The rest of the order 2 down there as well. A few drivers not finishing the race. Nelson Canache in the end finished in the 18th position, Alvin. It's been a good race for some of these drivers so far, but heartbreak for others. And at this stage of the season, when you're 50% of the way through, it's just so crucial to gain every point that you can.
Yeah, it does. If there was already that there was gonna be a wild card from what we saw here, even though we don't know what rounds we are going in. This was gonna be a round with high-speed oval, road course, and a very high-speed car. So we really didn't know what to expect coming into this round. But we definitely got very good action on the front of the field. Really unfortunate what happened to many of the front runners right there at the end. But at the end of the day, Roberto Montero, 2nd straight victory.
He does. So brilliant stuff from Roberto Montero. And you look at as well as Hector Aguirre, he starts to drop down a little bit from the championship now just because of the fact that a few other drivers claiming some points ahead of him. But I mean, in the end, what would you have done there if you were Martinez? You saw Perez Gama spin on the exit of turn 6. He had nowhere to go. Was there anything that Martinez could have done there from the second position?
Really, there wasn't anything that could have been done, to be honest, because they were really racing really hard, and it was just a mistake that happened right there from P2. He lost the car going on that transition, and really nothing that could have been done. Really, unfortunate incident that happened there. It was a really good racing that they were having, really close and clean racing, but it really an unfortunate incident that happened there.
And now we go next round. We don't know where we're going to, but it's just the preparation 24 hours of the event. How would you approach it personally? Just because you don't know, Alvin. Like, I mean, you're struggling to know what the car is, the track. It's just such a difficult situation. And some of the best drivers start to show and reveal themselves in those situations.
Well, pretty much, if that is the situation, nobody knows where they're going, so might as well, enjoy the rest of the week, have a beer, enjoy your time with family, and then 24 hours before the race, find out what car and track combo you are having, and, well, start practicing.
Yeah, there you go. Final thing before we start to wrap up everything here today from the Daytona International Speedway. Brilliant race so far, lots of overtaking, the slipstream involved as well. Now, championship standings, we know that Montero's extended that lead. Is the pressure on Roberto Montero now to maintain his form? Because he doesn't have any real-world racing experience compared to some of these drivers out there. When you look at Olin, Nelson Canache as well, just some drivers to name. What about Jake Vito as well, who's raced in the Mexico TC 2000 series? But for Montero, he's just a very quick virtual racer, and he's proving his worth. He can show that he can take it to these guys at the top.
Well, it's kind of like two different worlds: the world of real life and the world of sim racing. Of course, we have those quick sim racers here that want to go toe to toe with real drivers and see how they can go toe to toe with it. Of course,
yeah,
it's two different things, and in my opinion and in my personal experience, most of the time the sim driver will come in on top, as they pretty much have more time to dedicate into this, so they know the ins and outs of this. The real drivers, yeah, they want to come here, they want to enjoy it, but they also once they come into this sim environment, they really don't have to worry about something that they have to worry about when they go in real life, and that is the fear factor. You remove the fear factor from those real drivers, and they can go really toe to toe with those sim drivers as well.
Yeah, so that's the advantage that they have is so advantageous compared to everybody else as well. We'll speak to Nahum Olin, who is with us right now. Nahum, welcome. Now, I mean, after that event, you did finish in 5th in the end, but it just was so entertaining to watch from our end. I hope it was in the cockpit of your car.
Yeah, it was a very, very hard race. We didn't have we had some issues during practice that didn't allow us to get a good lap time, to get a good idea, but we got a good strategy. It was playing out at the end, and it was just a slight mistake. I think that I had a good chance at the victory, but that's racing, so we'll look forward to the next one.
Now, talk about your spin in a second, because you had a chance to win the race, and you tried to fight your way up into the top 3. Were you being patient just to sort of wait until the final laps, or was it just so difficult to make your way up to the top because of the slipstream, or just because you kept getting boxed out every time you tried to make a move? And then obviously the spin in the end didn't help your chances, but I mean, certainly you were trying your best, and it just seemed in the end that little mistake just cost you what potentially, I'm not trying to make you feel sad or anything, but it potentially cost you what would have been a great result.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were playing it safe because there were 4 cars fighting for the lead, and this was going to come down to who exited in second position out of the bus stop. So I was just trying to play safe, to keep my distance, to not lose the draft. But I'm mad because I shouldn't have made this mistake. At the end,
Yeah.
you saw Roberto. He drove a clean race, and that's how he won. And now he has a big championship lead. It's gonna be hard to beat him.
Yeah, and final thing before we let you go is that next round we still don't know where everyone's going, and it's going to be very interesting once again. Is this championship going to start to heat up a little bit in terms of you trying to fight your way up to the top? Because you're a very long number of points behind now, but it's still possible. I mean, you know, in Formula One with Alonso in 2012 had almost a 2-race advantage and ended up losing in the end. So maybe you're hoping that Montero gets a bit of bad luck and you can climb your way up the front.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't wish anything bad to my competitors, but for sure, in order to win, to be a champion, you have to have the champion's luck. So let's see how it goes for Montero in the next race. There are lots of drivers, very, very good drivers that are getting tired of Roberto winning every race. So let's see if we can steal a victory from him in the next race.
Yeah, so there you go. So Roberto Montero taking another great win. And we're just speaking to Nahum Alin, their series organizer, doing a great job behind the scenes, getting everything sorted. But that will be it for round 3 of Kart Mania iRacing Pro Championship. Ready to wrap up everything here today. We're ready to move on. 7 days time on the 26th of September. Be in 1 week, of course, as we mentioned. Coverage will begin at the same time, 2:30 a.m. GMT. It'll be on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Thanks to all the viewers. Thanks to Alvin Nieves alongside me, Hugo Luis, as well on cameras. Our sponsors, iRacing and Wern Design. Istvan Belot for his beautiful track camera work, as well as VRS Commander SimSport. Nahum, we mentioned before, everything he's done for organizing the series, brilliant stuff. This has been a RaceSpot TV presentation broadcasted on iRacing Live. We say so long from Daytona Beach.